Welcome to the Odyssey. Hit the like, press play. You're running with the squad like Xenoblade. Drive like Mario.
Welcome back to Odyssey News. I am Mike Odyssey, and today we got two stories, but two stories in which I got opinions on, because these two stories are very kind of weird, and one has to do with your personal life, what you do at night, and the other one has to do with the Switch 2, because it mentions the Switch 2 and moving forward. So let's go ahead and get started. But before, if you are new, check this out. But before we get into the video, I just want to remind everyone that we are on our way to 100K. And if we get there before the year ends, I will be choosing 20 lucky subscribers to win a Nintendo Switch. All you got to do is subscribe, hit that bell, and be active in the community, and you can be chosen at our 100K live celebration. All right, so first story up, we're talking about Pokemon Sleep. And, well, Pokemon Sleep has finally launched in select regions, which is pretty weird if you ask me. They just launched in select regions, and guess what? We're not one of them. United States, the UK, we're not one of them yet, and it's pretty crazy, right? Okay, so Pokemon Sleep has finally arrived in certain countries for iOS and Android devices. It seems that it's staggered launch, and it will be rolling out to other countries soon, but Pokemon Sleep is available right now in Australia, Canada, Latin America, and New Zealand. So the application to track your sleep and provide you with those all-important Pokemon-themed results, well, you'll be it will be on your phone and it'll be next to you. And yeah, so we have that going on for all those Pokemon fans out there who are not satisfied with catching Pokemon while they're awake. So this is the thing with this app. First thing, it needs to be next to your head or next to you, and I don't think it's actually safe to have an active mobile device, emitting radiation right next to you at all times. I mean, it is recommended that you have your device at least 5 feet away from you. Normally, a lot of us sleep with our phones right next to our head. Sometimes in our pillows or under it. Why? That's not recommended. You should have it at least 5 feet next to you. Some people put it on their nightstand, like at the edge, which is cool. But, this game really motivates you to have that phone on top of you because you want to make sure that it catches your data as you sleep. Okay? That's number one. Number two is that Pokemon Company is not really satisfied with having you have Pokemon Go on the road, literally when you're driving, when you're walking, when you're doing everything, when you're sitting down, to catch Pokemon on your phone. Pokemon doesn't really, they're not satisfied with having you catch Pokemon on your game console, the Switch, which is also a mobile console that you can take on the go. But now they want you to catch Pokemon on your sleep. There's two problems I see with this. Number one, younger generations, younger kids, they're going to not sleep because they're going to be so kind of anticipating what Pokemon they caught while they were sleeping that they're going to be waking up every so often trying to check their phones and trying to check their app to see what Pokemon they caught. Now, there's another one, is apparently the more you sleep, the more Pokemon you catch. Within this, I just don't know how this is going to work when it comes to not being invasive, because not only that, the app, the phone itself is actually listening. Yes, it listens to you while you sleep, and it actually uses the speakers on your phone to track and to hear your surroundings at all times while the app is on. Therefore, it also depletes your battery. It's using your phone while you sleep, the moment where your phone needs its rest as well. Even if you have your phone plugged in at night, it's still it looks like it's gonna heat up because it's being used constantly around the clock. And I'm sorry, I know I am a gaming channel and I have to champion everything that has to do with gaming, but I just have a problem when things go a little bit too far. I know that we have gaming for everything. It kind of keeps us sometimes in our couches for hours and hours, and then we have mobile phones with games that keep us on our phones for hours and hours. And well, I feel like us as a community, as us as gamers, we should know how to really set a limit, right? Not for only us, but our kids as well. And there's the outdoors. Take a walk in the park without having to catch a Pokemon. Just enjoy the surroundings, play in the swings. Take a run, play basketball, soccer, football, whatever sport you like to play. If you don't like sports, take a walk. Things are out there for us to enjoy. We have a beautiful planet around us. It's not all surrounding games. And I think when things like this come around, it goes a little too far. We're not going to live in a simulator. We are humans with the world around us to experience. There's a world outside games, and I feel this is not the future. But I don't know. You guys let me know down below in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you excited for Pokemon Sleep and catching Pokemon in your sleep? All right, so let's move on to today's last story, which will affect the Nintendo Switch 2, 3, 4, 5 moving forward, because it has to do with something that's a regulation by the government, which not too crazy about. When it comes to technology, when it comes to advancement, when it comes to companies creating things for us consumers, it's not great when governments get in between trying to dictate how a company should actually make a product. And I think it's up to the company to innovate and look for better ways to make a product. And I'm talking about the EU, right? The EU, not as a country, but as the government itself. It says here, the EU handheld consoles will be required to have replaceable batteries by 2027. Now, this all goes back to mobile phones, because they won in that area where all mobile phones are required to have a USB-C port. Yeah, you know how iPhone has the Lightning port, that special port they made for their own devices, right? Well, the EU is requiring that all phones by a certain time have a USB-C port. So there's two things that can happen here, okay? Because guess what? This is the EU. This is not the entire world. This is a part of the world that wants to regulate how tech companies do their products, right? What they have in their products. And I'm not so crazy about that, because that really removes the freedom from things to be created from innovation, right? So here we have them jumping in because they won the mobile war. They want to move into other areas and see what they can influence, right? When it comes to worldwide distribution of a product. So right now, they are targeting mobile devices when it comes to handheld consoles, right? The EU handheld consoles will be required to have replaceable batteries by 2027. And this is pretty much, I just don't agree with it. I personally don't agree with this. Let's go ahead and read it here. By My Nintendo News says that the European Union has set a new regulation for handheld game consoles such as the Nintendo Switch and Steam Deck, and will require them to be replaceable batteries by 2027. This will almost certainly apply to the successor of the Switch if Nintendo takes that similar route with the next generation hardware, and also whatever Valve is cooking up next, right? The Steam Deck 2. Games industry says that the manufacturers will be required to make batteries accessible for consumers. And well, guys, I don't agree. I honestly don't agree in this particular part here of the EU trying to literally meddle in the industry to try to kind of create things just because they won on one aspect of the ratio when it comes to mobile phones. They cannot get into the other one and dictate what or how a company makes their devices. First thing, I don't agree with mobile devices having to have replaceable batteries just because it actually gets in the way of innovation when it comes to a product. And what this does is basically limits what a company can do with their product, because they have to provide a specific feature or a specific thing on the product that might get in the way of other things. For example, in mobile phones, if we are looking for phones that are waterproof, literally waterproof, then mobile developers, mobile companies need to make phones that are completely sealed, right? They have to use technologies and ways to build a phone that are completely sealed. Same thing with the Steam Deck, same thing with the Nintendo Switch successor. If they need to make devices that are kind of sealed, weatherproof, isn't it great to have, would it be great to have a Switch that's also weatherproof? You can take it with you wherever you want. I know this is the future, but things like this get in the way, and especially with batteries. I mean, us consumers with batteries, we're not that responsible. We'll take those batteries, those old batteries, throw them inside a drawer, or even just throw them in the trash and dispose of them irresponsibly, because we don't know how to sometimes get rid of batteries. Did you know there's a specific way to get rid of batteries? Like, for example, those little square batteries that you have to put on your fire detector. Did you know that you can't take those square batteries and just throw them anywhere, right? They can cause a fire. They can actually burn down your house. There's a lot of houses here that if you take that little battery there and you put it in a drawer, and all of a sudden in that same drawer there's some type of material with linen on it, it'll spark a fire and create a fire. There's been many houses in the States here that have been burned down just because of a single battery. So, I mean, I don't understand why things like this has to happen, but this can cause either two things. This could cause the gaming industry to create a version only for the EU, or to leave the EU out altogether and only distribute Nintendo Switch consoles, Steam Deck consoles, and any mobile console to other countries. Because guess what? What the EU regulates doesn't really go for the rest of the world. So they might put themselves in a position where they're left out. All right, so I want to know what you guys think about this situation. Are you in agreement with the EU regulating ways how companies do their products and how they do their products? Or are you standing, with companies that do develop products, which, by the way, guess what? No company, Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, they don't like this. They do not like this. And even mobile phones companies like Apple and Google, they do not like this regulation because it gets in their way of innovation, of innovating new ways on how to create, safer devices. Because having a mobile phone that you can easily replace a battery with is not safe for the consumers, right? Especially when these batteries get more advanced, they have more power behind them. They work better in conjunction with the device and inside their devices, right? It's like one major piece of device instead of having separate things falling off, and it gets in the way. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Odyssey News. But before I let you go, I got two things I need to let you know. Number one, never give up. And number two, journey on. Peace.
Welcome to the Odyssey. Hit the like, press play. You're running with the squad like Xenoblade. Drive like Mario, we on a new way. Never slow down, winners don't need no brakes. And we won't fade.